Hello, AMAR. I'm Jon Thomas with NH Yates, a board member of AMAR and the benchmarking advocate. I'm here today to introduce Paul Giudice, the CEO of CoMetrics. CoMetrics is the outstanding firm that we partnered with 2 years ago to conduct AMAR's annual benchmarking survey. If you participated last year, that's great and thank you. If you did not participate, no problem. You can add your 2024 data to this year's annual survey. If you have not filled out the survey yet, I encourage you to carve out 45 minutes to get it done between now and the cutoff date, which is June 19th. More participants mean better data for all of us. So before I turn this over to Paul, I want to remind everyone of one of the best benefits of participation. You get to schedule one-on-one time with Paul so he can explain how to interpret the data as it relates specifically to your firm. Okay, take it away, Paul.
Hello, Amar. It's great to be here again. Excited to kick off our benchmarking year two of our benchmarking survey. Just a little quick background about CoMetrics and about me personally. CoMetrics, we've been doing this for over 25 years. We are a technology cooperative and we're worker owned. So everybody on my team has a vested interest in what we do. And what we do is we create a safe home for local, regional businesses to pool all their data and then anonymously compare how they're doing to their peers. And by doing that, our goal is to help identify potential opportunities in the business or areas they could improve or areas they can celebrate because their strategy is working. So like I said, we've been doing this for over 25 years. We've worked in dozens and dozens of different industries and really excited to partner with AMAR on year two of our benchmarking survey.
So Paul, what are you excited about this year?
Oh, so just prepare to geek out with me a little bit because this is from a math perspective, year two unlocks a whole new set of comparisons because we have trends. We have growth rates. We can look at how things going up or things going down. And one of the favorite things that I like to analyze is a common cause effects or trying to split out what's unique to an individual business versus what's happening that is just either tailwind or headwind in the industry. And so a lot of times when we investigate the benchmarks in year two, we'll keep an eye out for where maybe the group's going in this direction, but you're going in this direction. And what that means is there's a unique cause, something specific to your business, your customers, the product mix you're offering, the lines you offer, that is different from the group. And when you can isolate what's not tailwind and what's not headwind, those are often the actionable things that you can control potentially. And so that helps zero in on where do you ask the question? Which metrics do you focus on? Where do you set new goals? And so, yeah, so for me, it's a little nerdy, but having that year over year comparison is, I think, really, really priceless data.
So what were some of the most impactful metrics that you benchmark against?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we saw in reviewing the results last year is there's a variety of business models here. You've got a high concentration of where revenue comes from, buy sell kind of products versus other business models that are much more commission based. And what we're able to do is split those groups out into three different groups. And so if you say you have a high concentration of buy sell revenue, you can look at your buy sell gross margin and compare that to your peers. And like I said, this year we're going to be able to see, did you gain margin or did you lose margin and year over year? And how did that compare to the group? So I think that's one exciting thing. We did a mini compensation survey last year, and we're going to continue that this year. And so we were able to break down average annual salaries for principals, for finance professionals, for reps, inside, outside. So there's a lot of detail there, I think, that can help understand how what you're paying your team relates to your peers in the industry. And then, of course, I think overall profitability is a really important one to benchmark. Really looking at those EBITDA margins to understand, how profitable and how valuable is my company versus my peers.
So why is benchmarking so important, and why is it so important for more participants to step forward and participate?
Yeah, I mean, the more data we have, the more we can cut it. And so, I mentioned we are doing peer groups by business model. But if we had, say, over 100 participants, we could start to look at regional impacts. Maybe the West grew at a different rate than the East. And so just in general, the more data points we can collect, the better the benchmarks and the more specific to your business we can produce. One of the things we did this year is work with the board of directors and the metrics committee to refine the survey. And so we've layered in some stops along the way where there's a screen that'll show you a summary of your results. And so you can track what you entered and how that looks. And since we now have a baseline of year one, we have a reasonable sense of the thresholds. And so we can correct while you're filling it out, we can correct for any kind of data entry errors. So I think one thing I'm excited about in year two is I think the quality of the data will be better. I think it'll be easier to fill out, especially if you filled it out last year. It's going to be way easier. And we clarified where certain cost categories go with input from the board and the metrics committee. So I think all in all, I'm really excited for a fine-tuned year two here.
So if you were a rep and you didn't participate this year, but you see this and now you want to participate and you see the value, can you go back and add numbers for last year along with this year in this year's survey so you can get the benefit of 2 years now?
Yeah, you sure can. And we strongly encourage that because it unlocks those year-over-year comparisons. And within the dashboard, we warehouse every year of data. So we have firms that we've been working with decades of data on the platform. And each year we add on, and you can really start to see those long-term trends. And that can be super valuable. The other thing this year that we're going to unlock is our CoScore dashboard. So this will be a new dashboard for AMAR members. And what it is it's a scatter plot that shows how each individual member is compared to the group, both on their score, but also based on the change in score. So it helps give you a sense of, one, how's the group doing overall? Was 2025 a easier year or a harder year? And then as an individual member, how does my company stack up relative to others in the group? And so I can show you a quick version of this that we've used in other sectors. Here, this is Hardy's annual survey, and right now you can see this goes all the way back to 2013. So we have over a decade worth of data on here. And what we're comparing here is 2024 performance versus 2023. Once this 2025 survey is over, we'll update that. So we're comparing 2025 versus 2024. But you can see here that each dot is a participating company. And what we do is we score each company based on a basket of metrics. If I click on that dot, for Hardy, these are the metrics we used. For AMAR, it'll be a little bit different. But things like inventory turnover and profitability, personnel ratios, gross profit per FTE, that's a great one. Things like sales growth, which we'll be able to report on this year, EBITDA margin, and some balance sheet metrics. So what this does, each of these metrics goes into an algorithm and gives you a score, and then you see this change in score. And what you can see here is 2024 was harder than 2023 for Hardy members. You can see there are more dots below the line, meaning their score got worse period over period versus the folks that got better period over period. And it can be quite extreme. If we look at, say, 2018, that was a big year in HVAC, and you can see those dots shift up. Similarly, if we look at, say, 2022 versus 2020, again, really tells a story. You see those dots shift up when there's that tailwind in the market. So what I encourage folks to do is once we release the data, go log in, check out your AMR CoScore, and then check out where the distribution of the dots are. Was 2025 a harder year for AMR reps or an easier year? And this will give you a sense of how you stack up and what the tailwind or headwind looked like last year.
Super. Yeah, ever since we first met, it was clear you're very passionate about what you do and get excited about it, which is fantastic and truly one of the reasons that we chose CoMetrics. So what do you like about helping AMAR members use data to drive decisions?
Yeah, John, I'm a recovering strategy consultant. Is what I like to say. I was trained early on in my career and worked for Coca-Cola, was a client, Clorox, and these big Fortune 500 companies. And I saw firsthand how they use this data to drive decisions. And I was, in the basement pulling together all of the data and building these beautiful slides. And as a math nerd, I just assumed everybody did this. And then I worked for a merchant bank that invested in family-owned businesses. And I realized this data doesn't exist in large swaths of the sort of independent business economy. And so for me to be able to help provide that same kind of Fortune 500 insight in a very easy to use way is really powerful. And so I love just helping teams use this data to drive decisions. And that's why, as you mentioned, we offer one-on-one. So you hit me up, please. Let's go through your data together, and I can give you my 2 cents as an outsider. And so that's really what I like. And then I love getting up on stage and sharing the results each year as well.
And you're very good at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you. We're looking forward to this year's survey, and please participate.
Thank you.